This video is intended to describe a lightblade wand named Abundance, which would be the 47th rendition of 2025. Joining me today will be my very whimsical stick figure chakra map, which I'll be referencing quite a great deal to do my best to illustrate on this comprehensive tour various crystals in the chakra explanations, which will be quite vast. And starting off with the primary blade band scaffolding, starting like so, underneath this lovely green leather, over here, and continuing on, vaguely resembles a figure 8 developed to be a very efficient recirculation of energy for this entire complexive device, which will be quite the dissertation to get into right now, as well as this lateral band. So starting off with the transmutation blade band scaffolding, seen like so, consisting of hematite and smoky quartz offset all the way around this lateral band, and underneath this lovely green leather there are two identical blade bands of this frequency going down right here to conjoin to this lateral band of, once again, the transmutation ratio, as well as this larger apex of the bottom end of the construct, which is once again the hematite and smoky quartz. Hematite is a very fantastic iron-based mineral that takes a very strong grounding of all excess radial energies and successfully grounds all excess energy through the root chakra into the earth stars, into the earth meridian matrix for reprocessing, in tandem with smoky quartz providing the same energetic stimuli to once again compost excess energy by firmly grounding all excess energy through the root chakra, pulling all stray radial energies into the earth stars and into the earth meridian matrix for reprocessing. Hence, the two together have been deemed the transmutation ratio to infer the aspect of rapid grounding into the Mother Earth makes for a very high yield transmutation. That's very discouraging for stagnant energies to maintain the field with that much etheric dialysis afoot, basically, as well as a very viable contingency to serve as a very strong grounding, particularly for a very high yield complexive device such as this Abundance Lightblade wand, to take the entirety of the contact patch of this very dynamic crystalline structure, which will take a long time, like I mentioned, to notarize in full, and provide a very strong grounding foundation for the entire construct, is the prerogative of the transmutation scaffolding seen right here. For many purposes, of course, to innately discourage negativity from stagnating the field, as well as a way to ground the excessive high yield overture of this entire construct to indeed support and foster making the magic real to bring into tangibility. Hence, I always start these dissertations with this concept first as a great preliminary and a fantastic foundational preface for the rather intensive tour before us. Starting with the primary blade band, that of the abundance ratio. Starting off with 8 clear quartz down here, which is of course indicative of the 8 of abundance of infinity. Going right here, and also the clear quartz works as a neutral accelerant of the energy, going into the root-tilated quartz, which is clear quartz with bands of rutile inside the structure, which works as a massive accelerant supercharger to any other frequency in proximity, particularly in ignition sequence for the primary blade band, which works to amplify to a very high threshold what's in the tandem order seen right here. Starting off with moss green agate, to be the most stabilized green elemental water heart chakra stimulant in the mineral kingdom, which will be very, very obvious as I talk about the other frequencies. But the aspect that's quite important here and noteworthy is that this particular stabilization octave encourages the stabilization of the heart chakra to the absolute ideal capacity, particularly in tandem with the other green ray accelerants, which will make more sense momentarily. Subcapacitated by the moss green agate would be the golden healer quartz, which is a quintessential high heart gold by light source attunement frequency. So saying that out loud for this dissertation is obviously self-evidently very advantageous. To have a very clean gold white light source attunement is paramount, I would say, for the spiritual adept. And so that, of course, has been represented as part of the ignition sequence for the abundance ratio, as well as the aspect of the golden healer quartz makes for a very powerful higher heart gold white light celestial energy transference attunement to source energy, while the green ray concentration can serve as a terrestrial heart chakra transference, which can be also considered a an aspect of clean transference into physicality as a new earth portal of celestial and terrestrial alignment of the higher heart and heart chakra centers. Kind of like a holy grail emanation, if you would. At least that's the idea. Then going into Peridot right here, a fantastic earth elemental 3rd and 4th chakra green ray stimulant that is quite simply, in my opinion, the frequency of chlorophyll, that of growth, in the structure of crystalline format, which is very advantageous for abundance and expansion of positive vibrations as well. Then the root-related course to once again super accelerate the frequency, going into Emerald. Emerald is the quintessential heart chakra stimulant mineral kingdom of great precious antiquity notarization, that of being a royal precious stone that most mortals have heard of because it's quite famous, and for a very good reason. The Emerald is the 8.5 out of 10 the hardness scale as a beryl family, which means its atomical structure is very dense for the green ray spectrum, which makes for a very powerful stimulation of the idyllic heart chakra configuration. Hence, it's been known as a magical stone of abundance for millennia and well praised with many utilizations throughout history, which I will admit to not ramble on as much as possible because there's already a great deal to cover. And so, going into the Emerald, into the Golden Healer Quartz, the Moss Granite to once again stabilize the heart chakra energy, which is very, very important and paramount, obviously, for this such a massive exaggeration of heart chakra expansion. Then going into, once again, the Root-related Quartz, the Peridot, the Golden Healer Quartz, the Emerald, and so on, like this, till it goes back into the clear quartz, once again grounded into the transmutation scaffolding to encourage the momentum of this energy to be properly firmly grounded through its own tangibility transmutation subroutine, which is very, very essential, particularly for a very high yield construct. To have a safe grounding bypass into the earth is that of a very effective construct, as far as I'm concerned. And this last lateral band seen right here would be that of the coherence ratio, which has become its own little platform that's been organically developed more recently in these endeavors. Starting off with the Golden Healer Quartz, be once again the gold white light source attunement, then to classic lapis lazuli, which of course will be discussed in great amounts because there is a good concentration of lapis for a very good reason. Lapis is a wind elemental 5th and 6th chakra stimulant of one's sovereign highest truth, particularly utilized famously by the Magi of antiquity of the Pharaoh caste, as well as the High Priestess and the Magi adepts, the priest. Ancient Egyptian utilization is very well utilized with the lapis lazuli. Then going into root-related quartz to once again supercharge the circuit into purple fluorite. Purple fluorite is a fantastic third eye stimulant that also brings coherence between the right and left hemispheres, mitigating cross friction that be blocking the awakened third eye. So it's a very effective coherence stabilization frequency for the higher prefrontal lobe hemispheres, hence its archetypal designation in the coherence ratio to encourage one's highest sovereign truth with clarity is of the prerogative. Going into the Golden Healer Quartz and so on, grounding into the transmutation scaffolding seen right here on both sides of the engine. Alright, so that'd be just the blade banding so far. Next I'll be discussing the engine, and before I do that, I'll clear my throat because there's much to talk about here, obviously. So this right here is a magic sigil, which is very special to the recipient, and the best way to implement it in the construct at her behest is, of course, for me to freehand draw it as best as I could, to be installed underneath the white leather hood, which will be mentioned momentarily, so that the sigil will be safe and stand the test of time to be a very personal magical symbol to be implemented into the structure of this device. So with that being said, I'll discuss these momentarily. So next I will discuss the leather installation. Oh, beg everybody's pardon. It's quite a bit to talk about, so many a fifth chakra clearings will occur, I wager. So, the green leather has a purpose far more than aesthetic, as well as this white leather as well, which I'll discuss right now to get this out of the way. The aspect of the green leather is, of course, another green ray color therapy focused resonance supporting frequency of the entire closed loop circuit, as well as a way to insulate frequencies. So underneath this, there's much wire seen like this, and also there are hand bands which are now concealed and protected of the translation ratio so that the energy is basically encouraged to be more focused so that the stray radial frequencies here are more condensed, insulated for a more efficient processing of energy through the primary blade band as well as the engine. So indeed, once again, I say this thrice, far more than aesthetic, indeed is a very functional aspect of the component for the construct. Then, for this section right here, this white leather hood will be installed after everything is discussed for, once again, I'll say it again, for a purpose far more than aesthetic. So, of course, once this guy is fully notarized, this will be installed much like so in a far more aesthetic fashion while I'm at it, of course, for the purpose of being a color therapy governor of the full spectrum of the rays of white, being the 7 rays combined, which is a very advantageous frequency for the entirety of the engine section, as well as, once again, a way to insulate the frequencies of this very built-out engine section, I guess you could say, so that the energy is not leaking laterally, but indeed is encouraged more focused through the primary blade banding, scaffolding, seen like so, for further efficient energy closed-loop reactive circuit. And also, it could serve as a way to protect all of these crystals seen like so in here, because, of course, these are much like organs of this crystalline entity, so ensuring that they're safe and protected and never run away from the construct is another one of those amazing advantageous aspects. Okay, and once the white leather is installed, this right here, with the Eye of Horus and auspiciously on a pyramid, very appropriate for this construct, which will be installed like so on both sides to be a very nice homage to the Eye of Horus, as well as the pyramidal structures which were achievements of the vibrational engineers of antiquity, of metaphysical prowess that is out of this world, quite simply. So this is a very auspicious, very cool acquisition to have the pyramidal structures involved in the Eye of Horus, because there's not very much to discuss for the full context, but a long story short, which I'll break away from for a moment, is that these love currency augmentations, seen like so, crafted into existence by the wonderful wizard of Sonata, Mr. Stephen A. Ross. At the time of this construct of this video and this notarization, these love currencies have been augmented their own subroutine, while an operative colleague of ours was in Egypt and actually put a device much like this, based on this kind of closed-loop circuit crystalline technology, into the pyramidal structures of Egypt where they are right now. So, of course, very auspiciously enough, very appropriate, this kind of technological capacity compatible device, if you would, is now located in both the Egyptian pyramids as well as the pyramids of Sun and Moon in Mexico. Anyway, little digressions, they'll be pretty frequent, but I think I got a lot out of the way there. That's very important. Okay, so back on target. Clear the throat once again. Okay, so the main engine section is quite vast and quite dynamic, and will take a while to notarize fully. So starting off with the Lemurian clear quartz seen right here to be the main heart of the construct, which is very well concealed at this point by many other crystalline organs. So the clear quartz, much like seen right here as well, like I mentioned before, is a fantastic neutral ambient accelerant of other frequencies such as impulses and prayers of the wielder. So it makes for a very neutral resonance frequency capacity, which makes it essential for it to be the neutral heart of the construct, to be very, very programmable and very attuned, but also, most importantly, very easy for amplification of the intention of the wielder, thus putting in the realm of consciousness-assisted technology. Okay. And I'll discuss this guy at the end right now, because it's going to be where the engine section will be exposed right here. And this right here is a lovely egg of jade, green jade specifically, which is another classic stone of abundance, well praised in the Orient for thousands of years. So green jade is a fantastic heart chakra stimulant earth elemental frequency that is very effective for the aspects of nourishing one's chi or aligning one's natural frequencies with the earth resonance, as well as it being a very well praised crystal of abundance, much like emerald in that capacity, to be essential in the overall construction of the abundance platform for this rendition. Very nice fun fact. Then over here, on the other side would be rose quartz, seen like so. Rose quartz is a fantastic pink ray crystal of great acclaim of being a high heart love frequency resonator, which is very advantageous through the entire construct. Then right here, above the Lemurian quartz would be selenite, seen right here, with a little bit of black kyanite affixed to it, which will be described more in depth once I eventually get up here for the selenite seen right here, which play a very intrinsic role, which I will omit for now and circle back to. And also, this is a very fifth chakra concentrated device, so of course, aligning with the construct, resonating with, as I describe it, is very stimulating to my fifth chakra as well, to be expected. little digressions here and there. So this right here would be a bolt of tourmalated quartz. This is clear quartz with black tourmaline bolts naturally found inside the structure. Like mentioned thrice, at least, clear quartz is a fantastic neutral amplification energy. With the black tourmaline in the structure makes for a natural amplification of black tourmaline, which is another very famous black ray crystal of transmutation in this age to once again firmly pull negative energy through the root chakra into the earth stars into the earth for reprocessing. So that's another amplification of transmutation. And this section I'll describe in one shot because they are quite intrinsic how they play off each other for a very distinct purpose. Starting off with the jaspers and agates mentioned in one shot. So jaspers and agates in the mineral kingdom are the most stable vibrations of whatever elemental spectrum and color range they find themselves in format with. So for example, red jasper is the most stabilizing earth elemental root chakra stimulant in the mineral kingdom. Then going into fire agate, which is the most stable lower three chakra stimulant of solar plexus, sacrum, and root chakra of the fire spectrum, that is. Then once again, just like in the prior blade band, moss green agate to be the quintessential stabilization of green ray water elemental heart chakra stimulant. Then going into blue lace agate to be the most stable fifth chakra stimulant mineral kingdom of the water spectrum. Then going into a rather rare crystal named holly blue agate, even though it is indeed a violet purple agate, to be the quintessential wind elemental 6th and 7th chakra stabilization. So when you take the aspects of the four terrestrial elements of earth, fire, water, and wind in their most stable elements in the mineral kingdom feasible, it makes for a very nice full dynamic elemental spectrum stabilization diffuser for the entirety of the construct, which is already a very vast network of crystals in one closed loop reactive circuit. So that's why those guys are quite critical to discuss. And I might as well mention this while I'm at it too, is that all these other frequency crystals mentioned thus far, as well as yet to be mentioned, have been somehow, some way grounded and terminated to the primary wire, consisting of copper, brass, and silver, seen throughout the entire construct to serve as a main vein, so it ensures the vibrational compound interest of all these crystalline components for one efficient closed-loop reactive circuit, thereby, once again, being the organs of the entity. So everything I discuss now is very relevant for the entire composition's general vibratory threshold. Okay, moving on. This right here is chaurite, also seen right here at the very apex of the blade. Chaurite is a very fantastic violet ray, 6th, 7th, 8th non-physical chakra stimulant with a very powerful intrinsic combination of dendric as well as calcite to be a black ray grounder of this energy through the earth stars as well as the calcite being a full clearing spectrum. So that perhaps would make it my favorite violet ray dharmic accelerant because it's the whole package all by itself of a very comprehensive full light body activator, which encourages one's dharmic path becoming fully manifest with high yielding purification. Okay. Then over here would be fulgurite, which is petrified lightning, literally lightning striking sand carrying the energy of lightning in a crystalline vibratory structure. This was utilized by shamans of antiquity to intensify and resonate their prayers with lightning force for whoever is under their jurisdiction of the time period. Very powerful, magical stuff. And also, the power of lightning mimics the very rapid full light body activation from top to bottom, so it is truly a master dharmic accelerant in that regard as well. So a little dose of lightning goes a long way in this comprehensive construct. Then right here is Prophecy Stone. Prophecy Stone is a very fantastic, supernatural, mysterious, possibly meteorite sumo-hematoid, which means it has partially metal in it. Yet, fun fact, according to science, it actually has metals found in the structure that's not in our periodic table, which means it legitimately has space metal in there. And the reason it's called Prophecy Stone is because the gentleman who found it had an unexpected massive prophetic vision out in the deserts of Libya. So it's a very powerful iron-based, higher chakra stimulant that's very conducive to prophetic visions, according to legend, as well as vibrational ingestion and field testing in my life's work. And also, since it has an iron base, it actually has its own independent massive grounding to ground the higher frequency energies into the earth to make the magic real. Very fantastic high-yield component right there. And this section I'll discuss in one shot, hence this trinity right here is quite crucial. So all three of these I'll mention basically individually, but as a whole. Seraphonite, Star Argonite, and Tibetan Black Quartz are a very fantastic full light body activator trinity I utilize quite effectively because all three of them in their own way have a very powerful way to purify the entire auric field from top to bottom and dismantle any patterns of dis-ease found in the field, contributing to manifestations of illness. So these three master healers are quite efficient together, hence I always mention them in one shot, just like the agates and jaspers, for the full picture of their crucial playing off each other in tandem, in resonance. Seraphonite is a green ray crystal named after the Seraphim Archangels, which I already mentioned is a very powerful full light body healer, as well as Star Argonite being a calcium-based full light body stimulant that works very diligently, very quickly to dismantle any patterns of stagnancies around the field, as well as Tibetan Black Quartz from Tibet is an ultimate ohm resonant frequency generator that has a very powerful full light body elasticity expansion from the top and bottom as well. So the three of them together are quite fabulous. Then right here would be Mount Shasta Serpentine, quite literally from my backyard, right this riverbed right here, which is another locality of Mount Shasta vibrations that is very effective for raising Kundalini energy, serpentine energy through the entire chakra column, thereby being another light body stimulant. Then right here, this would be Oceanic Calcite. White calcite by itself is tremendously underrated, in my opinion, in the mineral kingdom for application of healing because the white spectrum makes for a nice, full, fire elemental clearing of stagnant energy from top to bottom. But what makes this truly remarkable and noteworthy, quite literally, is the aspect that the ocean has tumbled this stone for millennia, centuries, God literally knows, but the big purpose and point why I'm bringing this up is that the indelible mark of the oceanic clearing capacity is found in this crystal as part of this entire closed-loop reactive circuit at this point. Then, right here will be black tektite seen right here. Black tektite is a product of meteorite impacting sand, so it's another one of those essential heaven-to-earth frequency crystals. And since it's a black ray crystal with high vibrational cosmic impact, it makes for a very powerful raising of vibrations from luckily a very ground-up scaffolding perspective to raise vibrations from the foundation all the way upwards, which makes it a very powerful Kundalini activator, light body healer, as well as a very powerful way to fortify raising of vibrations from, once again, a very ground-up scaffolding fashion, which makes it quite essential for any application, in my humble opinion. And that would just about be most of the engine, except for this guy right here, which I saved for last intentionally. This would be Smoky Celestial Quartz, which is, just like Smoke Quartz mentioned, a fantastic rounder of energy. But the celestial structure has a very special effect in the auric field, which is going to be rather far out to do my best to keep it coherent and linear to the rational mind as I discuss this crystal, but practice makes perfect. I've been been talking about this crystal for quite a while now. So the aspect of celestial quartz has a very special growth structure that resonates with one's highest self template and makes it very reactive to whatever frequency requirement the wielder has. And what that means is that it serves like a surge protector or a dimmer switch or an auto regulator to ensure the right amount of frequency pitch for the entire construct is very well governed and very well adjustable and very well comfortable in the optimum range for the recipient's highest good moment to moment. It gets a little complex, but long story short, too, it's another aspect of ensuring the frequency pitch of the entire construct is always in the perfect equilibrium to meet one where they're at for the highest good. You can also kind of think of it as a joke, as another layer of divine intervention to ensure the frequency pitch is always working in tandem to be in the perfect optimum at all times. It gets quite... it is a little challenging to discuss it in a very linear fashion just for a description video, but they are quite essential for all serious lightblade entries because of their dynamic autoreactive capacity to regulate the frequency pitch to the most comfortable octave at all times. That's enough of that. Okay. So like mentioned, the transmutation scaffolding goes all the way up to here to this lateral band. Now I'll be getting into the blade facing as well as the thumb engagement. And I will start with the thumb engagement first things first to really get that well notarized. So the foundation of the entire thumb engagement, which obviously is developed to engage the thumb like so, a little self-evident, but I'm very thorough. Seen right here, the foundation of the thumb engagement is that of Libyan gold tektite, a gold ray mysterious space crystal, which is that of the utilization of the Magi god kings of antiquity, the pharaohs, to be carved into a scarab beetle set in their finery breastplate, very indicative of their badge of office of the Magi wizards of antiquity. So the aspect of why it's cool is that the fire gold ray celestial crystal has a very powerful solar plexus and sacrum stimulation that is virtually unrivaled mineral kingdom as a cardinal fire frequency that is very invigorating and very encouraging and very confidence inducing, that of a sovereign royal magi. And the aspect also makes for a very powerful fire energy simulation, like I mentioned, but it also has a gold ray of celestial illumination that activates the entire energy field as well. That is very, very encouraging and very fun and sunny. And also a very powerful dharmic accelerant to really highlight one's manifested highest path into reality to make the magic real as well. Then its, vibrationally speaking, cousin, quite famous moldavite, even in a small dose in a closed reactive circle, goes a very long way for this cosmic kick in the pants. So the aspect of the green ray moldavite makes for a very powerful high heart source storm attunement of virtually unrivaled power. That is the quintessential stone of magic that should not need much introduction because it has become quite famous as a very potent crystal of synchronicities, aha moments, and massive dharmic acceleration to one's highest path manifest. To expedite the process of the internal growth, external reality, hence it's quite famous or infamous based on who you ask for its hurricane force spiritual development. But luckily, with such a very well built out construct with many contingencies in mind, grounders and transmuters and stabilizers, this developed to get the most out of that while mitigating the timeline whiplash. Speaking of that, at the center of this thumb engagement was a lovely specimen of turquoise. Turquoise is another very famous crystal like lapis lazuli that is a favorite of millions for thousands of years for a very good reason. It's a fantastic fifth chakra stimulant, combining the aspects of the terrestrial four elements of earth, fire, water, and wind, thereby being a wholeness focus of the fifth chakra of pranic circulation, and a true stone of knowing thyself in that capacity. Hence, its praise is quite vast, which I will omit, keeping going. Then, in the thumb engagement right here would be a special specimen of tanzanite. Tanzanite is a blue ray wind elemental heart-mind coherence, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th non-physical chakra stimulant of very high yield for a perfect elliptical heart-mind coherence stimulation to encourage one's quantum perception of reality to the highest threshold in a very coherent, rational way that makes sense to the mind. So, heart-mind coherence is quite essential in the adept path of spirituality, I consider it. So, that's why that's there. And the blade band perimeter on the thumb engagement is of a special design, starting off with clear quartz, then purple lepidolite. Lepidolite is a very soothing, calming frequency based on its potassium-lithium build. So the structure of the potassium and lithium make for the most calming crystalline vibration just about in the mineral kingdom. So with all this high yield vibrations, having a direct soothing contact patch makes for a very, very powerful oasis of calm generation for the direct contact, particularly in sequence with these dharmic accelerants of heavy concentration seen right here, to bring extremely calming vibrations through the entire auric field. All right, that'd be the thumb engagement. Put my little magic book back and discuss the rest of the blade face. So starting off right here would be sunstone. Oh, and also, of course, they're built identically as possible for impeccable as possible symmetry on both sides. So discussing one side, we'll be discussing the other side of the blade face identically. Anyway, back at it. So, sunstone, as I was saying, sunstone's a very fantastic sunny fire energy that is a fantastic instrument to the sacrum and solar plexus, as well as I consider to be the yang to the yin of the abundance ratio. All varieties of the abundance constructs with the 46 predecessors have had a version of the sunstone implemented to be the output positive vibrations to the input yin to the abundance ratio heart chakra reception. So that they've been working very well in tandem thus far as a prominent team, and here is the aspect in the thesis and why. So with the very high yield receptivity frequency of the abundance, having an output vibration to encourage positive confident vibrations of comfort and enthusiasm is very effective for broadcasting the energy of abundance. So the reception is highly more encouraged to be a very powerful elliptical loop of what you broadcast to the quantum void of positive things comes back in that regard. So this encourages the very positive, active aspects of abundance to be the perfect balance to the intake reception of abundance, hence by design. Anyhow, so this right here will be another dose of lapis lazuli, except it's been embossed with the flower of life, which is a very powerful sacred geometric symbol that's quite famous for a very good reason, which I will omit just to keep going on the video. But that's why that's there, for a very distinct purpose. And like mentioned down here, a very powerful 5th and 6th chakra stimulant with the flower of life embossed, like I mentioned, to be very encouraging to one's highest sovereign truth. And to further fortify that truth will be the lovely specimen of Larimar, found on both sides. Larimar is an incredible crystal that is a very lovely 5th and 6th chakra stimulant of extreme oasis of calm and soothing and divine goddess connection. So that crystal is a very, very powerful soothing, calming frequency in the mineral kingdom as well. That is very, very effective for encouraging one's highest truth, which works very lovely in tandem with the lapis, seen like so. So that is a nice dose of very calming, soothing, oceanic frequency as well, which I will just keep on going at this point. And now to the love currencies. I have this book to assist me on this aspect. So these love currencies have been prolifically built out in many various constructs, quite literally across the world at this point. And the aspect of this love currency, which once again the wonderful wizard Mr. Stephen A. Ross has commissioned into existence, has the timeless archetypal message of with love, in love, and through love on one side of the coin, and to maintain that is a beautiful heart, an open mind, and a humble spirit. I consider those timeless classic archetypal messages, which have now been prolifically built out in many various constructs, at this point becoming a prominent magical sigil of modern engineering, which is pretty cool. Hence the large doses here are quite applicable for the very dynamic range of this construct. At the very apex of the blade band core itself would be that of the chaurite, like mentioned down by the engine, to have basically 2 doses of the violet ray dharmic accelerant seen right here to once again perpetuate the 6th, 7th, 8th non-physical chakra stimulation while being a full grounder into the earth for reprocessing. Then right here, this is a very special crystal named naturalite. Naturalite is exceedingly rare, but luckily the will of the force has a way of bestowing various crystals I need or for various constructs. Naturalite is one of the most powerful third eye stimulants in the mineral kingdom in a vibrational spectrum crystalline manner that has a very effective top 3, I'd say, 6th, 7th, 8th non-physical chakra stimulant of very, very high potency, which essentially makes it a third eye crown buster by itself. But in a closed loop application, its intensively clear white divine light vibrations make it very extremely discouraging for lower frequencies to resonate with, to be compromising one's highest spiritual blueprint fully manifest in connection to their Godhead I Am template, which makes it a very, very dynamic, very special placement put right here for a very essential way to raise the entire vibratory threshold of this entire device to a very high octave. And so next, I will discuss the selenites as well as the kyanites seen right here. Selenite, which has been hewn and affixed to the oak core, which of course the oak core seen right here, this entire device is built on top of an oak wood core, which makes for a very fantastic carbon-based frequency from this guy right here. Tip of my pen, my backyard, my good buddy right there. So oak, of course, is quite the famous dense wood of legend, of being a very, very dense atomical green, makes a very strong, strengthening, carbon-based wood. And it has its own legends, which I will omit, but it's famous amongst druids, wood of gods, kings, heroes, you name it, it's quite famous. And also, pragmatically speaking, a very, very good wood for a very strong platform that is very, very durable. All right, so back to the selenite. So, selenite by itself, the white crystal seen right here, is a very fantastic 6th, 7th, 8th non-physical chakra stimulant back to one's Godhead, which works very effectively to clear debris between one's conscious self and one's higher self in a very dynamic fashion. And with that high frequency induction makes for a very powerful transmutation of stanga energies from top to bottom to burn off any impure, non-source aligned frequencies from top to bottom, like I mentioned, which essentially makes it a very powerful master healer in its own right. But where it truly shines in any given spirit tool is this critical feature. So in this 36.5-minute dissertation so far, mentioning all these crystals in a closed-loop reactive circuit like so, it plays this critical feature. It can take all these crystals in this closed-loop sequence. It can purify all of these crystals. It can amplify or intensify the entire algorithm group, as well as, most importantly perhaps, bring equilibrium and harmonization to the entire crystalline collective. So that aspect of that triumphant effect is always very noteworthy to discuss, of the selenite working in tandem with all the crystals to purify them, to amplify them, and then to harmonize them is always the most triumphant trifecta to discuss, just about in a very effective spirit tool. Then, the kyanites seen right here. So kyanite, as a preface, makes for the most rapid transfer of energy in the mineral kingdom just about, hence I'll be using my pen whimsically fast with the stick figure chakra map to do my best to illustrate. So black kyanite is the most rapid grounder of energy through the root chakra absolutely as quick as possible, which makes for another surge protector. Hence it's also been installed on the selenite down here in the engine to encourage rapid discharge grounding to complete the circuit of Mother Earth absolutely quick as possible, to once again encourage magic real and to be very, very comfortable by rapidly discharging energy and giving a safe bypass in the earth for reprocessing. Then orange kyanite is the most rapid sacrum transfer energy in the mineral kingdom, which is very effective for confidence and imagination and any imprintation blocks that would be not of one's highest template, or basically false self programs, which is the human dilemma we all face, of imprintations that govern and limit our creative capacity as I am beings. So that right there plays a very critical role in that regard. Then green kyanite seen right here is the most rapid heart chakra transfer in the mineral kingdom that bridges past any blocks and debris of any kind of heart chakra blockage points. Then blue kyanite right here is a very fantastic third eye stimulant that bridges the left and right hemispheres very effectively and bridges past any blockages of third eye perception as well. So when you take all four spectrums available to me, it makes for the most dynamic, rapid transferability of energy possible for this entire device. as well as it serves as another layer of etheric Teflon to highly discourage any stagnancies not of one's highest divine template to be rerouted and buffered so quickly that anything making an attempt to stick here is very, very discouraged by rapid discharge from all many different directions of rerouting, buffering, and clearing past stagnant patterns. So that'd be the kyanites mentioned now. We're getting there. So right here, these crystals installed right here on the primary blade band would be that of the the focalizer crystals. Oh my gosh, I'm having a fifth attack here. So in this whole close-up figure eight seen right here, these are developed to focalize and focus the energy, much like so. For example, my buddy right here in the backyard, to take the excess energy pitch and give it directional broadcast focus for direct engagement alignment. So, starting off with the titanium aura quartz seen right here, which is a product of modern man-made alchemical procedure of pressure bonding titanium to clear quartz, which makes for a very powerful titanium acceleration expansion energy, which is very shielding the auric field as well as very strengthening to the subtle DNA. And also works for a very fantastic backer of the Lemurian quartz seen right here to be the absolute clear focalizer. So titanium quartz is a very empowering frequency that's very strengthening, which strengthens the ambience of the Lemurian quartz seen right here to be the absolute business end barrel of the construct to directly focus the energy with a very neutral ambient emanation, which is, of course, once again, puts in the realm of consciousness-assisted technology to encourage the neutral amplification of the apparatus's hardware as well as the software invocations of the wielder broadcasting the construct. And by golly, that would basically be it. Okay, so to summarize the 47th rendition of 2025 of the Abundance Platform, obviously in this long-winded dissertation, it's developed to cover all of the octaves of the chakra column in a very dynamic fashion, with stabilization, with acceleration, as well as transmutation in mind, with a very heavy high yield of the abundance ratio to dramatically expand the heart chakra's capacity to receive from the force, and also to embody one's quantum inheritance independent of the false self-imprintations we contend with as modern humans. Well, I guess that would be it, and the video will be 42 minutes now, which is the answer to the universe, according to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and that 1,000 blessings, and may the force be with us all.